Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thank you for joining me. I'm here with round 4 of a Modern Friendly League. Let's have a look at the opening hands. I lost the die roll, and this is an excellent opening hand. Cursecatcher turn 1, Silvergill turn 2, potentially turn 3, a couple of lords. Very nice. Opponent mulligan to 6. Okay, let's open up the chat, see how the scries go. Keeps the hand. Oh, no, wait, didn't keep it yet. Went down to 5. Chose to keep and then put a card on top. So mull to 5. And mountain means probably burn. And let's see what he's doing with this red mana. Sometimes the replay takes a long time. So there is a lava spike, and I'm going to follow up with Cursecatcher with Wanderwine. I drew another land, which is great because I can play out my lords. Important to note here that burn mulligans really poorly because they depend on having a critical mass of burn spells in hand, and every card that they mulligan away is one fewer burn spell that they have to throw at our face. So they're either going to go lower on lands on a mulligan and just be backed up on their spells, slowing down their tempo, or they're just going to be low on spells to just deal damage to us. Especially with Cursecatcher on turn 1, it's going to be hard for the burn player to overcome the disadvantage of losing 2 cards to mulliganing. Okay. So against a normal 1-drop, something like a Searing Blaze would be amazing in this spot, but they can't really get away with that with the Cursecatcher out. Opponent suspended a Riftbolt and passed the turn. Master of Waves is an excellent draw. It's like our trump card against red decks. I think here I'm going to attack. Well, after playing Silvergill, I think. Well, after playing our land. Not quite sure why I played out the land first, but doesn't really matter. Get in for damage first. Opponent goes down to 19. No reason to lead with the Lord. We can keep drawing cards. We want to hit a 4th land for Master of Waves. Play out that Silvergill, and, well, Kira's decent too. Protects against Searing Blazes. Opponent down to 18 on the Scalding Tarn, and he gets a Secret Foundry. Riftbolt, probably going to go to our face. After drawing, the opponent only has 3 cards left, and what are we going to see here? Another Lava Spike. Okay. Opponent's got mana up for that, and Cursecatcher really doing a great job here because if the opponent has another Lightning Bolt or something, they can't really use it right now because we've got the Cursecatcher protecting us. Drew a land. Quite nice. And at this point, with the Lords in hand, I determined that, let's see. Well, so I played my land a little bit too quickly this turn. If I play out Mutavault instead, let's see, I can play a Lord, attack for 5, the opponent goes to 13, and then the following turn I could be attacking for 3, let's see, another Lord next turn makes this 3, 3, 4, and 4. 4, 4, 3, and 3. 4, 4, 8, 3, and 3 is... Yeah, so we could hit the opponent for 5 this turn. It goes down to 13, and next turn we could attack for 14. So that's lethal. And potentially worth going for since the opponent is low on resources. I just figured I was going to jam Master of Waves next turn no matter what. So I pushed the island out. Didn't really seem like it mattered. And I have a lot of blue intensive spells in hand. So we're not going to be able to attack for lethal next turn. But we will be able to play a Master of Waves, which is still pretty solid, and really hard to see how the opponent gets us from 11 down to 0 with only 3 cards in hand. Especially if he's playing lands. So there's Oboro's Charm. That's the only spell he's going to be able to resolve this turn cycle. We've still got Cursecatcher backing us up. If the opponent did see us coming for lethal, if I had played the Mutavault last turn and followed up with a Lord and was attacking for 14 this turn, of course, he would go for a spell removing a Lord or something, and I would just sack the Cursecatcher. So here, okay, interesting because even if I play the Lord out, as I mentioned, I can attack with the Mutavault this turn. So play the Lord out, and I can attack for 3, 3, and 4, which is 10. Can't win this turn, so I might as well run Kira out and take the opponent off of value that they'd be able to get off of top-decked Searing Blazes. Since Kira would counter those now, and the opponent only has 1 mana here. So if he had 2 mana up, he could potentially go for it. I'd have Cursecatcher backing me up anyway. So now we've got a lot of protection. The opponent's down to 1 card. Let's say it's a Oboro's Charm, does another 4 damage. Or let's say, I don't know, it's a Lightning Bolt or something. Top deck's Oboro's Charm. We've still got Cursecatcher backing us up. It's really hard to see how the opponent can win from this spot. Especially since I had another Cursecatcher to follow up with. So choosing not to go with Master of Waves there, because Kira and Cursecatcher just kind of like cement the win next turn, whereas Master of Waves might, I guess, but these guys just, I don't know. It's the opponent mulligan to 5, and we've got great cards. That's what it comes down to, basically. So they're going down to 6, and they scooped at that point. A little bit overwhelming. They did a pretty good job. If they had 2 more cards, they might have been able to seal the deal. But we took game 1. Look away for a second if you don't want to see the match result. I'm going to click now. All right, I'm back with game 2 against Burn, sitting 1-0 against them currently. They're going to be on the play this time, and this is another beautiful hand. I get to play Cursecatcher into Silvergill. Very nice stuff. But the opponent kept 7 this turn, so I don't think we saw any creatures last game from them. Here's a Swift Spear, getting in quickly for some damage. Drew another Silvergill Adept. There's a lot of Silvergill Adepts. I don't know if we're going to have time to draw all these cards. Alright. So the opponent's getting in with this Swift Spear. Of course, right? It's just obvious. When we have lands and Silvergill Adepts in hand, we're almost certainly going to draw into another land that will get us to Master of Waves mana. So it can become correct pretty quickly to chump against a Monastery Swift Spear just to maintain our life total. Card advantage isn't that important, like if we're chumping, because we're going to be getting cards back from Silvergill Adept, and eventually Master of Waves comes out and completely stabilizes the board because they can't attack into him. But it's too early to chump right now, just because the Cursecatcher does a decent job of holding the opponent's mana up. So we're going to take this 1 from the Swift Spear. Before damage, the opponent throws a Lightning Bolt at me. He's got the mana to pay for Cursecatcher's tax, so that's going to resolve, and I go all the way down to 14, taking 5 that turn. Play an island, and play a Silvergill. I think I revealed another Silvergill. So what are we going to draw here? Oh, we drew another land for the turn, I believe, so we did hit that 4th land for Master of Waves. Okay, AEther Vial's kind of garbage. We didn't really need that. Can attack with the Cursecatcher here. And the opponent gets a Sacred Foundry. So here's that Searing Blaze I keep talking about. He has landfall, so he's going to do 3 damage to me and 3 damage to a creature. He's got the mana to pay for it. So it's potentially correct for me to not attack with the Cursecatcher there, because if the opponent Searing Blazes one of my creatures, then I have another one up to chump with. As it went, I have no more creatures to block with, so I'm going to have to take the damage from Swift Spear here. It's another 2, so I'm going to take another 5 this turn, going from 14 down to 9. Pretty big chunks of damage. Huh. So a pretty easy choice to run out another Silvergill Adept here. After playing Mutavault, I'll play another Silvergill Adept and reveal another Silvergill Adept. Let's double check that. Yep. Draw another AEther Vial. You know, it's bad, but we've got our plays all lined up already, so it's not the end of the world. So I could get in with the Cursecatcher again here, or I could leave it back to block for a situation I was like similar to the previous one. But since I have a Dispel in hand, if the opponent has another Searing Blaze to blow up my Silvergill Adept, I could just counter it, and then I'd have a chump up for that. So I think I'll go to attacks with Cursecatcher. Get in for 1. The opponent's clock is much faster than mine right now. Okay, I wanted to pause for a second and ask what you guys think about the decision between playing out an AEther Vial there or leaving up Dispel. If the opponent almost certainly has brought in more Searing effects. They have Searing Blood and Searing Blaze that they could bring in. So if they have those, they want to go for it on our turn to deal with our blockers and get in for more damage. In that case, Dispel is obviously amazing. But if they have more creatures, Dispel does nothing, and AEther Vial sets us up to be able to get our creatures out of the board while attacking with Mutavault and leaving up counter magic. So the way that Burn typically sequences its plays is they get their creatures out as early as possible. Like you saw Swift Spear on turn 1 instead of something like a Lightning Bolt, because I don't have any blockers to take advantage of, and they can just get in damage that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get in once I establish blockers. So if they have creatures, Goblin Guide, Swift Spear, they tend to push them out right away. When sitting with an AEther Vial against Burn, though, a really important thing to think about is the Eidolon of the Great Revel, because once that guy's out, AEther Vial is our best card, because it lets us develop our board without taking any more damage, which is a very big deal against Burn. So I made the decision here to leave up Dispel. Last turn, the opponent cast Searing Blaze. They've only played 1 creature. They're going to be down to 4 cards next turn. Most of their cards are spells in the deck, so let's see what they're working with here. Well, here's a Goblin Guide. Maybe that guy came off the top of the deck. They're going to crack a land and follow up with Eidolon of the Great Revel. So this is pretty much our worst nightmare here. We can't counter anything with Dispel. And if we play any of our AEther Vials at this point, we're going to take 2 damage for it. Even if we play Dispel, we're going to take 2 damage for it. So let's see. Well, that's pretty strange. The opponent chose not to block. They're sitting at 15. Not to attack. I think that was kind of a misstep. If I was them, I probably would have attacked with both of these guys. Even if I play a Lord and attack, I'm not coming for a ton. That's very defensive. I guess they feel like they can sit behind this Eidolon, which might be correct. So this is really sad because Dispel is like our best card in this matchup, but apparently the opponent was sandbagging a bunch of creatures. So this turn, I think the obvious choice is just to jam Master of Waves. It doesn't do any damage to us because it's not... Let's just check this Eidolon. It says if you're casting things, mana costs 3 or less, and this costs 4. So all we want to do is draw Master of Waves now. We get our 3 elementals. Not crazy about attacks in this spot. With 3 spells in hand, we're at 9 life. The opponent can close us out pretty quickly. All right, here's Oboro's Charm. He's got Cursecatcher covered. He's going to take 2 from the Eidolon, but we're still losing this race. We're going to go from 9 down to 5, and it makes it that much harder to cast our spells. This is rough. So I think I consider playing out something, but then just choose to attack us with Mutavault because as a 3/3, the opponent doesn't have great blocks. Obviously, I'm not going to attack with everybody. I've got to leave some guys back. I think I'm going to attack with Mutavault, Master of Waves, and maybe 1 Elemental, keeping up, at least 4 blocks in the event that they have like another Goblin Guide or another Searing Blaze or something. I'm getting super close to lethal. I'm sorry, getting killed to 0. But I'm not going to win if I don't try, to attack. So opponent looks like he's going to double block the Mutavault. I'm going to take out the Swift Spear. Goblin Guide can potentially get us lands off the top of the deck. And Swift Spear can get bigger than Goblin Guide anyway. So opponent took 4, going down to 9. Still got a Cursecatcher helping us out here. Let's see. Attacks. Opponent thinks better of it. And passes. So it's getting really dicey now. So we can't afford to play any of our spells, which really hurts. We've got Dispels in hand. If the opponent has a Lightning Bolt, we can save 1 point of damage basically by countering it with Dispel and taking 2 from the Eidolon. With 2 creatures on board, he can block 4 power and take 7, but then win on the crackback. He's sitting on 3 cards, didn't play a land. We know he's got spells. If he plays one of his spells, oh, you know what? I think I just realized that I should have won the game. Let's see. If the opponent goes down to 7, well, no. If I attack and he's got spells that would go to my face, he can go to a creature to prevent lethal. Let's see. It's super tricky because if I attack with everybody right now, he would block, say, a Silvergill and an Elemental. Well, you know what? I don't think I thought about this very correctly during the actual game. Swing for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Swinging for 11, he has to block. If he blocks 1, he's still taking 9, right? So he's got to block 2 things. He could just eat a Cursecatcher, which means that he would take 10. Still not good enough. He could block a Silvergill and Cursecatcher and then take 8. He would go down to 1, but that means he can't cast any spells because he would die. Oh, you know what? No, he would block with the Eidolon so it gets off the table, right? And then he can cast spells. So I think during that sounds familiar to me. If I attack and the opponent blocks with the Eidolon, then he gets to cast spells with impunity. He's not going to take any damage from the Eidolon, right? So attack with everybody. Blocks a Silvergill with the Eidolon. Blocks a Cursecatcher with the Goblin Guide. The Goblin Guide lives. Eidolon dies. He takes 8, goes down to 1. I'm tapped out, but could follow up. It's interesting. I could follow up with creatures of my own. I could follow up with Silvergill and have Dispel up. I'm starting to think more and more that I should have Alpha Struck here. Let me know what you guys think, because I didn't quite wrap my head around it correctly, I think, during the match. I think now, in retrospect, I should have won this game. I'm giving it away. I lost the game. But if I attack with everybody, his best block is eat the Cursecatcher with Goblin Guide, trade Eidolon for Silvergill Adept. If he does it the other way and leaves Eidolon alive, he's still taking 8 going out to 1, in which case he simply can't win because he can attack for 2, but if he casts a single spell, then he's going to lose the game. Creature spell, anything, he's going to lose the game. So he just has to trade Silvergill for Eidolon. Eat the Cursecatcher, take 8, go down to 1. Next turn he has the Goblin Guide. But after combat, I could have played out a Silvergill to block the Goblin Guide. I would still be at 5 life. I'd have a Dispel up for one of the opponent's spells. Yeah, alright, so I've thought about it enough here, guys. I'm pretty sure I should have Alpha Struck here, but didn't. I think I just got in with a couple of guys. I want to just finish thinking through that line. Block Silvergill trade, eat Cursecatcher, take 8. I follow up with Silvergill. In the second main, say the opponent has a Boros Charm. I Dispel it. Now I'm tapped out. I could have drawn another land with Silvergill Adept, but let's assume I don't. Dispel a Boros Charm. The opponent untaps with Goblin Guide. Draws a 3rd card. Goes for another... Well, he could have, of course, have something like... Could have something like... well, I could have 2 spells, right? And then I have a... The Cursecatcher would have gotten eaten in the previous turn, which then makes me reconsider whether I should have gotten in with him during the Alpha Strike. So the Alpha Strike might have been better off as just getting in with these 5 creatures, because then it's still lethal. The opponent would have had to block with Goblin Guide. He could have... Sorry, block with Eidolon, and then still taken 8. Or he could have blocked 2 things. He could have blocked an Elemental in that and taken 6. No, block, block, and then he has no creatures. Anyhow, it's very difficult to do the math, but given the circumstances, I feel like attacking with everybody would have been the correct call, although possibly not getting with Cursecatcher. Alright, so I feel like the opponent's got to play some spells at the end step. Lightning Helix, have to use a Dispel for that. Save 1 life and keep the opponent's life total at 7. I'm going to go down to 3 though. We've got lethal next turn. It's interesting to me, the opponent chose to block with the Goblin Guide rather than blocking with the Eidolon. I guess they felt that this guy was putting more pressure on me than it was putting on them. Which is only because I didn't attack with all of my guys next turn, I think. Or last turn. So, this is really frustrating because it's like the only sorcery in the opponent's entire deck, and I have all of his instants covered. So I can sacrifice Cursecatcher, but he's got mana to pay for it, and I'm going to lose the game to a Lava Spike. I thought Dispel might have helped me get through this turn if the opponent only had an instant spell. See, if he had a Boros Charm, anyhow, Boros Charm would have gotten countered, and then if you only had 1 more mana, Cursecatcher would have had that covered. So I lost that game, but it was super close, and as you saw, there was the potential to win, I think. Please let me know your thoughts on that particular match. Look away if you don't want to see the results here, because I'm going to click into the replay screen now. Going to game 3. I'll be on the play, which is what we want. This looks like a pretty sensational hand. Obviously, I'd love to see an AEther Vial. Got some counter magic. I keep Echoing Truth in the deck. I mean, obviously they have creatures, but against Burn, I also came up against Ensnaring Bridge the other day. And it seems like a small cost to keep my singleton Echoing Truth in to have an out against Ensnaring Bridge. So pretty easy keep for me. Island go. Hoping for a Lightning Bolt to counter with our Dispel. But here's the sorcery again. He gets me with a Lava Spike. That's super annoying. We can go ahead and get Smuggler's Copter out here. Hopefully get some value out of that this game. Okay, another Lava Spike. Where are all these sorceries coming from? So that was actually a decent draw. I would have loved to hit a land because I can play out a Lord and then have blue mana up for Dispel. But as it stands, I'd rather run out the Harbinger to equip the Smuggler's Copter, so if it eats a Searing Blaze or something, it's not at least not a Lord getting wasted. Alright, so here's Harbinger. We're going to equip and try to get in an attack. The opponent might have a Bolt or something, but we'd rather the Smuggler's Copter get bolted than our face get bolted, I think. So will we get a trigger here? And it looks like we are. Huh. Cursecatcher might be good because it is an effect that interacts with all of their instants and sorceries. So what to discard here? I'm going to want to leave mana up for these things. Definitely don't want to discard our Lord. And Master of Waves is amazing if we just draw into 2 lands. We're going to have a couple of draw steps to get to that. I only have 3 Master of Waves in the deck, so I don't really want to get rid of that guy now. Though it might be correct since I'm low on mana, and I do have 2 more to draw into. I think in the end I get rid of Kira, because even if I draw mana next turn, I'm not going to want to jam her. I think I'm going to want to play a Lord and maybe a Cursecatcher or a Lord and leave up Dispel mana. So I think Kira can get pitched here. Well, no, I'm sorry. It looks like I pitched the Lord. Let's think about the rationale. If I don't draw a land, at least I can play a Cursecatcher as another body to keep equipping Smuggler's Copter while leaving up mana for Dispel. Some of these decisions can be really difficult. It's one of the reasons I really love Smuggler's Copter so far is that it seems to reward good decision making or careful decision making. It gives us more options to sort of sculpt our hand for the best possibility to win in any given situation. It looks like the opponent's going to take this 3 damage here. So just pass back to their turn here. maybe the consideration was, again, I'm going to play a Cursecatcher and leave up Dispel. I've got a lot more Lords that I can draw into. 7 more of those guys in the deck. And I don't know that I'm just going to jam this guy anyway, so... In hindsight, maybe I would have pitched Kira. Again, let me know your thoughts. What would you have done on that loot? What's the opponent got for me here? Cracking the Arid Mesa, Swift Spear, and Searing Blaze on my Harbinger. It looks like it might have been correct, at least keeping the Cursecatcher. I want to be able to equip the Smuggler's Copter next turn. So another Cursecatcher is pretty nice. Do you guys run out both, or do you leave up Dispel? I think I leave up Dispel here. Difficult decision making, because Cursecatcher is a counter spell effect in itself. I chose to pass through there. I'm down to 9 life after the opponent got me with Searing Blaze and Monastery Swift Spear last turn, so Smuggler's Copter's back as a blocker, and I'm going to leave Dispel up in case the opponent wants to try to hit me with another Searing Blaze. Alright, so this is the third Lava Spike the opponent has drawn. Quite frustrating since, again, I have the Dispel up. The opponent's spells are just lining up so well against us. Last game he had creatures when he should have already played out his creatures, and he drew a Lava Spike last game, or played a Lava Spike when we had a Dispel in hand, and now we're getting Lava Spiked again, despite having Dispel up. Ugh, and it's another Eidolon. When, again, we have Dispel up, we have Cursecatcher up. And even with these loots, we haven't drawn into another land. It's turn 4. We were on the play this game, so we had turn 2 to draw a land, we had turn 3 to draw a land, we had turn 4 to draw a land, and we had a loot to draw land. So we've seen 4 cards, I think, since our opening 7. Haven't drawn a land. So it looks like the opponent's getting a little overzealous here. One of the benefits of Smuggler's Copter is that some people just don't know how it works. So I'm just going to get to eat his Swift Spear here, which is maybe the best opportunity I have to claw my way back into this annoying game. Also going to get another loot off of this. Maybe I'll draw a land. Alright, what are we going to draw? So Negate, it's so clunky, right? Because we don't have an Aether Vial, and we can't just leave up 2 mana. So I think I just pitched the Negate. We already have a Dispel. He's already used, I think, 3 of his Lava Spikes. So Negate can go. And yeah, the opponent's going to lose his Swift Spear, which I feel pretty good about. So what's the play here now? I'm already down to 6. Every single spell that I cast now that's not Master of Waves loses me 2 life. I can leave Smuggler's Copter back as a blocker. I can play a Cursecatcher out as another counter effect and potentially another body. If I activate the Smuggler's Copter and attack, I'm going to have no blockers back as options. The opponent's going to untap with 3 cards in hand. I don't think he played a land last turn. So he's probably got some gas in his hand. If he swings for 2, I go down to 4. With 3 cards in hand, he can almost certainly close it out. Dispel is going to deal 2 damage to me. So I decided after all of this deliberation that I basically had to leave Smuggler's Copter back. I don't really see how I get out of this spot. I needed to draw lands, and I didn't, so I can't play the Master of Waves. Well, I think it was wise to keep him in hand. If I jam a Lord, I can attack. The opponent goes down to 12. I can then activate Smuggler's Copter with the Lord and try to block on defense. But again, the opponent's got gas. They can probably deal with whatever I throw at them. But the Lord would take me down to 4, and with 3 cards in hand, again, the opponent can just close it out. So let's click through. Couldn't really do anything. I'm just hoping the opponent has lands, and I can just have some time to draw into some lands. Another Smuggler's Copter. Not what I wanted to hit, so the calculus remains the same. We can't do anything. I have now seen, I think, 7 cards without drawing a land. Opponent doesn't want to attack, passes. I draw another spell, which I really can't play. Gonna have to discard, and at this point, excuse me, the opponent is going to path my Cursecatcher. Well, that will give me a land, which is interesting because I can just top deck another land and then be at 4 all of a sudden with Master of Waves. But this allows them to get in with Eidolon and then just close things out really fast. I still have to discard right now, unless... So I could have chosen to Echoing Truth his Eidolon, but that doesn't really do anything because I take 2 off the Echoing Truth and he just replays it, or I just take 2 from the attack. So it doesn't really matter what I pitch here. Smuggler's Copter is the most dead, I think, so that's kind of the easy decision, I guess. Attacks for 2. He's got 3 cards in hand. So I had to think a little bit there about whether I wanted to bounce him or not. It's possible I should have Echoing Truthed him now, but that would tap me out and put me at 2 life, and the opponent's got 2 cards in hand, so any burn spell would just close things out. I guess I'm just hoping to rip a land here and play Master of Waves, stabilize, have some blocks, activate Smuggler's Copter, do some stuff, but I draw another Master of Waves. So in the end, I think I've drawn 10 cards after my opening hand and didn't draw a single land. So here, I think I'm just going to play Silvergill, take 2. It doesn't really matter at this point. The game when I did draw lands, another Master of Waves. So in the end, 11 cards, no lands. It happens sometimes, but it's really frustrating because the last game was super close. Potentially a poor attack decision by me. Though I think my decision making was okay, and the Dispel should have had me set, but the opponent came at me with a Lava Spike. This game, I locked myself out by not drawing lands, so I won't belabor it too much. The opponent Lightning Helixed me, and then I killed myself with my Dispel. And that was it. I told the opponent it was a great match. I did my best. We drew our Master of Waves, but we didn't draw any lands, didn't draw any Aether Vials. Smuggler's Copter did do a good job, despite me still losing the match. Card's still feeling pretty good. Alright, so please let me know your guys' thoughts. I'm currently sitting at 3-1 in this Modern Friendly League. Smuggler's Copter's been outstanding so far. And tune in for the next video, which will show the 5th and final round of this Modern Friendly League. Thanks, guys. I'll see you there. Bye.